You know, I can't. I I hope that folks will, at the end of the day, understand that the outcome of this election is going to have a profound impact on the lives of real people.
Kamala Harris made a special appearance on The Breakfast Club. I don't know. Someone said, Tim, don't look like a regular appearance to me. Where's Angela Yee? Where's the, when they shoot this? This looks like they just put this together to kind of shut people up. Yeah, because see, there's this thing going around called ADOS, which African Descendants of Slaves, which is which is a loosely fitted organization of black people of black slave descent who are tired of the BS and want tangible results for black folks who have helped build this country and did not get compensated for it. Here goes Kamala Harris at The Breakfast Club.
Maya and I, my sister, we joke we grew up surrounded by a bunch of adults who spent full time marching and shouting.
Yeah, and see, that's what bugs me out about the criticism you receive, because it's like your parents were civil rights activists. You were born in Oakland. Oakland's a black ass town.
Oh yeah.
You went to Howard University. So why do people say things like she's pandering to black people?
They don't know me. And I, listen, I think that also, some folks have a limited vision of who we are as black people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Charlamagne, there's a lot of reasons why people say that she's pandering. I'm sure that since you have, I don't know, a smartphone or a tablet or a desktop or a laptop, I'm sure you've ran across a few of these comments. They think that she's pandering because, well, they just don't think that she's authentic. They think that she's pandering because, I don't know, because she's got videos of her dancing to Cardi B. Sort of like Hillary with the hot sauce. Just seemed like, what's that got to do with anything, and why are you doing it? I mean, at the very least, it's very cringy. They think that she's pandering because when she started naming hip-hop artists that she liked, she named a dead man by the name of Phife Dawg, as if he was still alive. That would mean she tuned out from hip-hop, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago, or 10 years ago at least. When was the last time Phife put out an album with Tribe Called Quest? Rest in peace, Phife. That's why they call her pandering. And you know why we say she pandering, Charlamagne. Why are you going to sit there and act like you have no idea of everything I just ran down? What am I, psychic? What am I, the sponge of information? No, I'm not. No, I just, like you, this is my job, it's your job, and it's my job. Why are you so bad at your job, Charlamagne? Why don't you care to get it right, Charlamagne? I know, paycheck, Charlamagne. Come on, man. You got a laptop in front of you. You can Google, why do they think you are, why is Kamala Harris pandering? And it would give you results. And then you can say, hey, Kamala, people say this and people say that. And you could go one by one instead of asking her, hey, why do they think you pander? That don't make sense. I already know you really black, even though she's from India and Jamaica. That's where her parents from. I bet you if she said she was Native American, you wouldn't complain if Native American people was like, hey, yo, you ain't Cherokee. Like, they got like tests you got to do. But anyway, we're going to keep it going, guys, because Charlamagne didn't know why she was pandering or why people said she was pandering. So now, hopefully, we just gave him some information that he didn't know.
And that's on them. That's not on us. People need to be educated about who we are.
It seems like some of it comes from us, though. Like, it's like, oh, she doesn't even identify as a black woman. I've even seen Kamala Dozal memes. I'm like, huh?
Okay, I guess I got to go back at it again. I think it was the day after she announced, the day she did the town hall on CNN. Time Warner, the parent company of CNN, who gave to her campaign, and she's the only candidate who has been given a town hall. Yeah, that town hall. Just if you want to, just a fun fact, right? During that town hall, she was asked, I think it was Jake Tapper, he asked her, he said, we understand you got this, hereditary of a Jamaican father and an Indian mother from actual India. And then you say you could be the first black woman. Kamala Harris was the one who said, Charlamagne, she said, I don't consider myself black. I consider myself an American.
American woman, but you're also Indian American. And I'm just curious.
Indeed.
What's the best? How do you describe yourself?
Did you read my book? How do I describe myself? I describe myself as a proud American. That's how I describe myself.
You know, she did the Raven-Symoné thing. The Raven-Symoné thing. Remember that? The Raven-Symoné that...
I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
Oh, girl, don't set up the Twitter on fire.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
Well, she used the same exact explanation by saying, hey, I'm not black. I don't consider myself black or Indian or, well, I just consider myself an American. Have we decided if we're going to run as an American or as a black American? Or as an Indian American or as a Jamaican American? Or what is it? See, what it appears to be is whatever works best at the time is who she'll be. And who does that remind us of? Hillary Clinton. And what happened when they ran Hillary Clinton? You got Donald Trump. That's what happened. Let's keep going. There's more information. Glad I'm here to help.
And see, that's what bugs me out about the criticism you receive, because it's like your parents were civil rights activists. You were born in Oakland. Oakland's a black-ass town.
Oh, yeah.
You went to Howard University. So why do people say things like she's pandering to black people?
They don't know me. And I, listen, I think that also, some folks have a limited vision of who we are as black people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on them. That's not on us. People need to be educated about who we are.
It seems like some of it comes from us, though. Like, it's like, oh, she doesn't even identify as a black woman. I've even seen Kamala Dozal memes. I'm like, huh?
What's that?
Yo, Rachel Dolezal.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The Rachel Dolezal documentary that was done by Netflix, I'm actually in that documentary, so I'm in it. I just wanted to let people know I do stuff.
I hope that folks will, at the end of the day, understand that the outcome of this election is going to have a profound impact on the lives of real people.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope at the end of the day that people will focus on who is going to have their best interest in mind and work hard to uplift and empower and unite the folks of our country.
I gotta jump back in here, guys, because it sounded a little bit like she's trying to scare us a little bit. I hope that people are ready to focus on the real issues. Don't be focused on my background. Don't focus on the fact I was a cop, I was a prosecutor, and was attorney general, and that I locked up more black people than, I don't know, slavery. Don't focus on that shit. Focus on what I want you to focus on, which is scary Trump. Listen here, Kamala. I'm sorry. Listen here, Kamala. Your record matters to us. We got through 4 years of Trump. We don't need 8 years of you. I have a problem with anybody who doesn't recognize that the whole idea that we're having a conversation about a prosecutor, about a district attorney, about a attorney general being the Democratic nominee, the fact that we even having that conversation seemed crazy to me. I mean, there are a lot of district attorneys and prosecutors and attorney generals across the country, and they do their job. And their job is to lock up primarily black and Latino people. And more specifically, their job to lock up poor black and Latino people, and poor white people too. They'll lock you up. But here's my thing. Those attorney generals don't try to run for president. At least not as Democrats. See, Jeff Sessions was an attorney general. We didn't even want him to be an attorney general. More or less be the president. They have the same job. See, I'm not just angry about the job that Kamala Harris did in California, though every day I learn a new fact about it. The fact that you think that that's okay. See, the Republican Party stands for certain things. It stands for pro-life, gun rights, religious freedom, you know, certain things they stand for. Military, law and order. That, in a nutshell, and that's my top 5 for conservatives. That's what they stand for. That's what they're about. What do the Democratic Party stand for? I thought it was anti-corruption. Wrong. I thought it was anti-war. Wrong. I thought it was anti-police brutality. Wrong. I thought it was anti-mass incarceration. Wrong. Kamala Harris was doing her job and doing her job well. In fact, in 2012 and 2014, she rejected prison reform. She was against legalizing marijuana when she was a person that could have made a difference to the people in California. When a court ordered that she release prisoners because she had locked up so many people that it was becoming a safety hazard, she refused to let even some petty nonviolent offenders who couldn't make bail go, because she said it's going to hurt our revenue. Now, I found that information not because I'm a rocket scientist, not because I'm a Rhodes Scholar, not because I went to HU, but because it's on the internet and anybody can look it up who gave a damn to find out. But the sheer audacity that you think that it's somehow above or beyond the pale to care about that. And she was a Republican who was against guns, she would not even be in the conversation. And she was a Republican who was pro-choice, wouldn't even be talking to her right now. But you could be a Democrat, be anti-criminal justice reform while you're on the job. You can be pro, lock people up for even nonviolent offenses. And still you can not only run, but you can be on the Breakfast Club and they'll give you a pass. If Kamala Harris was a white man, you wouldn't even have her on that show talking that BS, and you know it. The only reason why she's getting the opportunity to even run is because she's black looking. Because she look black. That's the only reason why you're giving her an opportunity to talk. She's a white woman or a white man sitting up here talking about she going to do a good job. You be looking at her record and all the black and white people and all the Latinos that she locked up. The fact that she locked people up for stupid shit like weed, like it was a big deal. You would say, we don't need that person. We don't need the possibility that you can go into the White House and be who you have been for the last 20 years, which is a cop. And you call yourself hip-hop culture. Hip-hop vulture is what that is. All right, we're going to keep going because we got more.
And that's where people are going to have to, ultimately land. And obviously they can make their decisions based on what they see and what they hear.
Your truancy program got some form of reparations for black people. Because you see Mayor de Blasio saying...
Because, nobody in America should have to work more than one job to be able to pay their bills. So we could go on and on.
Where do you stand on some form of reparations for black people? Because you see Mayor de Blasio saying the marijuana economy could be a form of reparations. Marianne Williamson says black people should get $100 billion in slavery reparations. Like, where do you stand on it?
Well, look, I think that we have got to address that. Again, it's back to the inequities. Look, America has a history of 200 years of slavery. Mm-hmm. Address that. Again, it's back to the inequities.
Marijuana economy could be a form of reparations. Marianne Williamson says black people should get $100 billion in slavery reparations. Like, where do you stand on it?
Well, look, I think that we have got to address that. Again, it's back to the inequities. Look.
Notice how she had no response for Charlamagne's question. And actually, Charlamagne did a good job here because Charlamagne did present her and show her where other politicians had actually taken a stance, had actually had suggestions of what could be done. Kamala's dancing on this one, isn't she? Is that the electric slide she doing? Is she doing I don't know, is it the moonwalk? What is she doing? She doing a Ralph Northam moonwalk without the blackface? What's she doing, y'all? Why is she giggling nervously? Oh, because Charlamagne got her. Give it up for that. Yeah. See, this is how this works, guys. I support reparations. Yeah, I support them. I think that Kamala Harris should be able to answer the question if she supports it or doesn't support it. And how and what would be her vehicle of support for it. It could be, I don't know, college tuition. It could be, it's a lot of different scenarios. Charlamagne just threw out a couple of ideas that other well-thought, well-intentioned people had came up with. I don't know which is better. We could put together some form of investigation. We got a lot of government laying around. We could task one of the government departments with finding that out. But the nervous laughter and really not having a plan means she's not really. I mean, come on, if you're a black politician running for president, don't you think someone's going to ask you about reparations at some point? I mean, come on, guys. Come on. To have no plan and not even just be like, hey, no, I don't support it. I don't think it's a good idea. That would be something. At least we know where you stand. I'm going to keep it going, but I want to give Charlamagne props for that, okay? All right.
America has a history of 200 years of slavery. Mm-hmm. We had Jim Crow. We had legal segregation in America for a very long time.
I'm sorry, guys. What the hell does that got to do with reparations? We know what we had. We know the shit that's wrong. What are you willing to do to fix it? What are you willing to do to fix it? And don't give me the bullshit. If she was if she was running and she was the first transgender or the first gay LGBTQ person running and Marriage Equality Act hadn't happened, you think anybody would have a problem asking about Marriage Equality Act? No, I don't think so. If she was Jewish, all right, first Jewish woman running, and someone brought up the anti-Semitic situation or the need for legislation on that, do you think she would have a problem answering? No, she wouldn't. Why such a hard time answering very specifically #Tangibles 2020, #ADOS about reparations? Why the history lesson? We know what's wrong. What you gonna do to fix it? Or nothing. You can say nothing. You can say I'm not gonna do anything. But what we don't like is the double talk. At least that's not what I like. I dislike double talk. I dislike tap dancing and word salad. I like you. Do you like me? Hey, you wrecked my car. Did you wreck my car? Someone wrecked my car. Did you wreck my car? Hey, you owe me $20. You know you owe me $20. Remember that $20? You got my $20? Like, I like direct people. Not being direct is a sign of either being a slimy politician or being a schemer. Kind of how I look at it. We'll keep it going, guys. This is getting funner and funner, isn't it?
The Voting Rights Act was only strong for 50 years, and then they wiped it out with this United States Supreme Court in the Shelby decision, to the point that 22 states immediately thereafter put in place laws that one court found were crafted with surgical precision to have black people not be able to vote. So we've got to recognize, back to that earlier point, people aren't starting out on the same base in terms of their ability to succeed. And so we have got to recognize that and give people a lift up.
So basically what she's saying is, we're going to do some very general shit for your very specific problems. That's what this is all going to come down to. I got this legislation I'm about to do, or something this act I'm working on, and it's for everybody. And if it works, you'll be helped too. I know I just ran through a list of things that will very specifically hurt you and your kids, and your parents' parents. We know that. I know all that. I just ran through them. It's not that I'm oblivious to your very specific injury. It's not that I'm oblivious to the state of your condition that has been created by government policies. Not some racist white lady down at the Walmart. Not Donald Trump saying something about Colin Kaepernick, but about very specific government policies that were created to marginalize and hurt you and keep you as bottom. She's well aware of it. But what she wants to do to fix it is she wants to do something for everyone. So as everyone lifts, you just stay here. You're already here on the bottom. We're going to lift everybody. You're still on the bottom. You're still eating. You're still at the bottom. But everybody move up a little bit. But you're still there. That's the solution. And then people say they don't understand why that's not desirable. If you were a fireman, you were called to a block where there was fires. When you got to the block and you saw one house on fire and another house not on fire, where would you take your hose? According to Kamala and Cory Booker, you just spray both houses. Because you wouldn't want to, show favoritism. Let's keep going.
And there are a number of ways to do it. Part of my initiative, again, around the LIFT Act is that same point. You're lifting people up who are making less than $100,000 a year. What I want to do about rent is the same thing. What we need to do around education and understanding disparities, what we need to do around HBCUs. But we have a history of racism in America.
So you are for some type of
yes, I am.
reparation? Okay.
Yes, I am.
You know what worries me and bothers me? Well, scares me, I should say. When I seen Bernie and Hillary running, people rolled for Bernie so much that when she actually won, they turned their back and they did not want to have anything to do with Hillary, which was part of the reason why I felt like she lost. Do you have that fear, or is there a game plan for that? Because there's so many people running. There's going to be people that's going to be gun-ho with Cory Booker and gun-ho with you and gun-ho with whoever runs, whoever else runs. Is that some type of, I guess, strategy to make sure that if one of those people don't make it and you make it, that those people, they turn their back and they
for some type of
yes, I am.
reparation? Okay.
Yes, I am.
You know what worries me and bothers me? Well, scares me, I should say. When I seen Bernie and Hillary running, people rolled for Bernie so much that when she actually won, they turned their back and they did not want to have anything to do with Hillary, which was part of the reason why I felt like she lost. Do you have that fear, or is there a game plan for that? Because there's so many people running. There's going to be people that's...
Okay. All right, guys, we got to jump in here. If you don't follow me on Twitter or on Instagram, follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. My Twitter is Real Tim Black. I'm also Real Tim Black on Facebook. I'm Tim Black at Night on Instagram. I speak directly to issues. I don't apologize for them. Okay? So it's not for kids. It's not for the sensitive at heart. If you're sensitive at heart and you're easily offended, you might not want to follow me. But if you want some real shit, some real truth, we'll follow me because I'm going to be spitting nothing but real truth. Okay, so I'm so pissed off about hearing this. I'm really tired of it, guys, because it's such a myth. And the myth is that all of these Bernie supporters did vote for Hillary. All right, so I tweeted out 2 links. Not from Bernie Sanders' campaign office, not from his wife, not from Nina Turner or Susan Sarandon or, I don't know, Rosario Dawson or Tim Black or Jimmy Dore. No, not from us. From corporate media entities that show that between 12 and 8% of Bernie voters voted for Trump. This is standard. That is standard. When Hillary Clinton ran, estimates of 25 to 30% of Hillary Clinton supporters voted for McCain. I don't know about you, but I'm not the best at math. But even if we take 12% and say the highest number that they've come up with is 12% of people who had voted for Bernie Sanders during the primary who didn't vote for Hillary but instead voted for Donald Trump. Even if we chose the highest number that has been estimated, it's still only 50% or less than 50% of the number of people who voted for Hillary who did not bite the bullet and vote for Black Obama or whatever. Instead, who voted for McCain. But people like DJ Envy and these people who want to ride on this lie, because it is a lie, because that's not what happened. It's not true that Bernie Sanders supporters all said, "Oh, screw it," and just voted for Donald Trump. That's not what happened. We have it. It's in document. It's documented. It's not by Bernie Sanders people that was put together the documentation. You can Google it. It's in the Washington Post and the New York Times and NPR and several other agencies and Real Clear Politics. There's everywhere that you can find it. And this gets back to a better, more important point. I'm upset with DJ Envy right now, but I shouldn't be. DJ Envy is a DJ. There's a reason why these politicians like Kamala Harris choose to go on the Breakfast Club. They won't get asked any questions. They can say whatever they want. They can spin whatever narratives they choose to spin. It's not owned by anybody specifically who has a vested interest, obviously, in the truth. DJ Envy, it's not his job to be a journalist. It's not his job to know these things that he can Google, that he can look up. It's not his job, okay? He is a stand-in for a person who would actually give a damn about getting this right. He is a stand-in for a person who considers himself a commentator or a journalist or an activist or just somebody who's really interested in this. That's a horrible statement to make, and she doesn't correct him. It was just to butter her up, actually, because Charlamagne just exposed the fact that she has no specific plan for reparations, that she just word saladed threw word salad at Charlamagne on a very simple question. So I think DJ Envy just wanted to throw an easy one to her, because Charlamagne just kind of embarrassed her inadvertently. Maybe he didn't know she would be as bad as she was. She was just as bad as Cory Booker.
Does Cory Booker have a specific agenda for black people? And if so, what is it?
Look, man, I as an African American, you know, as a black person, so much of the realities for all Americans, if you look at through the lens of African Americans, they've been in many ways the conscience of this country from its founding. When we said we were going to be a nation of liberty and justice for all, the African American experience challenged the inadequacy of those words when it meant reality.
Going to be gun-ho with Cory Booker and gun-ho with you and gun-ho with whoever runs, you know, whoever else runs. Is that some type of, I guess, strategy to make sure that if one of those people don't make it and you make it, that those people ride with you? Because if they don't, it's going to be like it's kind of divided so much that we have 45 again.
It is my...
Then and I was like, this is the only Howard University alum that I'm going to support.
He just wants to remind you that Hampton is the real HU. That's all.
You know, it's not, you know.
It's not about that.
You know.
But you were attacked so fast for being a prosecutor, and people were upset about it. You know, what do you say to some of those critics?
Well, first of all, look, I'm not going to ever apologize for saying that when a child is molested or a woman is raped or one human being kills another human being, that there should be serious consequence. I'm never going to apologize for that. I also believe strongly that the criminal justice system in America is deeply flawed and it must be reformed.
All right. All right, guys, right there. It's important. She said she wouldn't apologize for rapists or murderers or pedophiles. I don't know what she said. Most horrible people who do the most heinous of actions of physically hurting citizens. So she wouldn't apologize for seeking punishment or punishing those people. And I don't think anybody wants her to apologize for that. In fact, I don't think there's anybody who would want you to apologize for locking up murderers and rapists and serial killers and whatever. But the fact of the matter is, and these two gentlemen here, DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God, could have looked it up and found out that the majority of her prosecutions, the majority of people locked up in California during her time as both a prosecutor, as an attorney general, or as a district attorney, did not murder people, did not rape people, did not sexually assault children. The majority of the people that Kamala Harris locked up were nonviolent drug offenders. People with a little bit of weed or a little bit of coke were the people she got her bread and butter cases off on. But instead of pushing back on that fact and letting her gaslight you, you let her gaslight you with talks of the most depraved people that could possibly be locked up. This is all a distraction to take your mind off the fact that she locked people up for weed. She was locking people up for weed. This is what prosecutors and district attorneys and attorney generals do. This is their job. They're the top cops. That's what they do. That's why they shouldn't be presidents. That's why they shouldn't be running for nominations. I'm wondering how she got to be a senator. She goes on and says that, our criminal justice system is heavily flawed. It's a flawed system and it needs to be fixed. Why were you a part of the flawed system? Was it a flawed system when you entered it in 2003? Was it a flawed system when you stayed in it until 2016? You stayed in the flawed system for a very long time, and now you say it's a flawed system, and you're just the person to go back and fix the flawed system. Wouldn't it be better for us to get behind somebody who actually been an activist against the flawed system, not somebody who was a part of it? I mean, we don't really need you to tell us about the drug war, even though how are you going to support the drug war for a decade and then come tell us, hey, I'm going to stop it. I'm just the person to stop it. After I furthered it. After I fought against reform. Now I'm the person that you should elect to put it to an end because, hey, who else knows it better than somebody who implemented it, baby? See, this is the type of thinking. This is psychotic, actually. We'll keep going, but she said it was a flawed system. One last thing. Little story. Back in the early 2000s, a friend of mine introduced me to a fireman. Like, we had beers. One of his friends said, one of my friends is going to join us for beers, man, let's hang out. So one of his friends who was a fireman, we had an opportunity to talk. We were just kicking. He was telling me about his career as a fireman because I was in computers. I was like, man, wow, man, to be a fireman would be an interesting gig, man. So tell me about it. And he was telling me, well, you know what? I just became a fireman again. I said, again? He said, yeah, again, because I quit for a while. I switched careers. I said, wow, what'd you switch careers to? He said, well, I switched and I became a police officer. I said, for real? He said, yeah. He said, here's how it went. I was a fireman for 8 years. And I always wondered what it would be like to be a police officer. So I switched and I became a policeman. I became a policeman for a year and a half. And I hated it. I said, what you hate about it? He said, well, first of all, you deal with some people that are just horrible people. And you got to do that every day. And then after a while, even you think the worst about people, so you're looking at everybody new that you meet like they're the last person you met who was a horrible person. So sometimes it's hard to tell the good people or the people you shouldn't be so hard on from the people that you should be hard on. and it was a high-stress job. I just didn't like it. I like people to be happy when I showed up. I don't like showing up and everybody's mad. So I quit the job as a police officer and I went back to being a fireman. And I've never been happier. See, that man, he was in a line of work that he enjoyed and he got into a line of work he didn't enjoy. He didn't say, oh, I'm going to change the police force. Yeah, little old me is going to change it. I'm going to change the D.C. Police Department. He decided he'd rather go back to the district firehouse that he was at because his conscience would not allow him to be in that occupation any longer. Felt better not doing that job. Kamala Harris wants you to think she was in law enforcement because, well, we need me to represent it. We take some of us to be in this line of work. Then she moves up in that line from prosecutor to district attorney to lead district attorney to attorney general. 4 or 5 steps. All along, she's really this progressive person. Let me tell you something. A progressive person cannot survive in that environment. It would be contrary to everything that you are about. A progressive-minded person who feels like this job is wrong, that I'm incarcerating single mothers for weed, I'm incarcerating young men for stupid stuff like having a 20 bag of crack or cocaine or something, to being with friends at a party and there's drugs, and I'm locking up people and they're losing their futures for they didn't even hurt anybody. First-time offenders are getting 3 years and coming out different people. You understand whose lives are ruined. Like, if you are a progressive person, you can't go into that. You can't go, I'm an activist. Activists work for activist organizations. Activists don't become district attorneys and say, I'm an activist, and then try to meet quota. I don't know who Kamala Harris thinks she's fooling. She ain't fooling me. Maybe she thinks she's fooling DJ Envy or Charlamagne the God. I don't even think she's fooling Charlamagne the God, though. I think Charlamagne knows. But he don't own the Breakfast Club, and he would like to stay working at the Breakfast Club. And I'm beginning to feel like maybe that's the same way DJ Envy feels. Maybe he don't own, I know he doesn't own the Breakfast Club, but maybe he'd like to continue working there as well. All right. This show is brought to you by TimBlackTV.com. It's brought to you by the viewers of this show. We've been doing this for 6 years. I've always been an advocate for the things that I advocate for. Money out of politics. Medical coverage. Medicare for all. Medical coverage in the form of Medicare for all. Cheaper pharmaceuticals. The end of the failed drug war. The end of mass incarceration. The legalization of marijuana. The end of fracking. The support of indigenous rights for indigenous Native American folks. Ain't shit changed. Let's keep going.
And that's why I have dedicated myself to doing the work of, one, focusing on vulnerable populations and making sure they are safe, and equally focusing on what we need to do to reform the criminal justice system.
It's impossible to say you do both equally. You cannot be a police officer who doesn't make count. You cannot be a prosecutor that doesn't prosecute people and throw them in jail. That's your job. How can you tell me you equally focus on protecting people and locking people up? It's impossible. You can't do it. You can't keep both things balanced in your head. You can't have a job of doing it. How can you have a job of doing something? If you are an executioner, you execute people. You can't tell me, well, I care as much about life as I care about executing mofos. Isn't your job to be the executioner? Yeah, that's my job. Isn't that why you got the axe in the hood that you put over your face? Yep. And you carry out your job and you execute people. Yep. And you want to tell me that you spend just as much time saving lives? Yeah, I do. How? Is your job to save lives? No, that's not my job. Do you have a quota of how many people you have to save? No. Get the hell out of my face, please. Once again, Kamala thinks she's talking to damn fools. She couldn't be an abortion doctor at a clinic taking care of Planned Parenthood needs, could she? And go to the GOP and be like, yeah, well, I care just as much about preserving life as I do care about making sure the woman's happy with having a pregnancy or not. What you talking about? It wouldn't work, would it? Because they're not gullible like that. They wouldn't care if she was Latino or Asian, Native American or black, or she was white as the drifting snow, the fresh snow. They would not care. They'd say, get the hell out of here before we call the people on you. Get the hell out of here before you don't be able to make it out of here. That's what they would do. But since Kamala Harris is black, we got these people who act like that don't matter. Look, my thing is, look, Democrats, you either for something or you're not. You either get something or you're not. You either pro mass incarceration or you're not. That's all. Let's just make our mind up about what we are. Let's make our mind up about who we say we are, and let's try to line those things up. You want Kamala Harris? Just admit you don't give a shit about mass incarceration. You don't give a shit about ending the failed drug war. You don't give a shit about people who helped continue it. You care less about that. Own it, accept it, and own it. All you Hollywood types, all you athletes, all of you, the Ricky Smileys, the Roland Martins, all of you people coming out of the woodwork, caping for Kamala Harris. Just admit, you don't really give a shit about these things. I still disagree with you, but I respect the fact that you can own up to your bullshit, because this right here is ridiculous. Stand for something.
And I'm going to tell you also, when we know a system needs to be reformed, when we know it's broken, there is certainly a role on the outside, but we also should not take ourselves out of the opportunity to be on the inside and have an impact there and be an ally to what we need to do around reform.
Hold on. I must interject this, because I want you to know this is nothing personal. My feelings about Kamala Harris would be totally different if she did a different job. You don't think I want a candidate that will champion for the issues that I care about? I desperately want that. You don't think I want a president for my children, my children's children, my neighbors, my friends, my viewers, the world? A president that's going to carry out an agenda that is of peace, that is of prosperity, that's of environmental protections, that's of, maintaining our planet, that's of, helping black folks get their shit right in a system that has dogged them for 400 years. You don't think I would want that? I would want that. I don't care if it was Kamala Harris or if it was Cory Booker, whoever it was. But I would not support somebody who does it. And this is what you need to think about when you have Kamala Harris talking about working inside the system and people working outside the system. As Attorney General, Harris stopped legislation that it would have required her office to investigate police shootings. Kamala Harris stopped legislation that would have required her office to investigate every time a police officer shot a civilian. But she wants to talk to me now about how, hey, well, now that I'm running for president, I'll do something about it. If she wanted to do something about it, wouldn't she have died on that hill when she was an attorney general? Wouldn't she have done something about it back then when she actually could have done it for California? But I really was just waiting to do it when I became president. That's why I didn't do it then, because, hey, I was waiting for the real big job to do it. People are buying this, I guess. It goes on. When California was ordered to reduce prison overcrowding, she argued against it. She said accurately that a low-wage workforce would go free. She didn't want a low-wage workforce to go free from California because the state of California benefits from incarcerated folks doing jobs that the state gets money for. That's why the inmate will get 30 cents an hour, but the state makes the money. They're not charging 30 cents an hour. That's just all you get. She always sided with law enforcement, which means she acted against the interests of black people. She still does this in her memoir, These Truths We Hold. An American Journey. She says of mass incarceration, I wanted to tear it down, but the facts say otherwise. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
And listen, did I get enough done? No. Did I want to do more? Absolutely. But, you know, there are people who in this campaign for president are definitely going to try and hit us from the right and the left.
Does it bother you that it seems like so many people that are against, you know, it's not so many people, but the people that I've seen are against look like you and look like me and look like Charlamagne, our own?
DJ Envy, brother. I don't know you, you don't know me, we never met. I want you to know that no one deserves your vote. No one deserves your vote. No one deserves your friendship. No one deserves your loyalty, other than the people who have been loyal to you and have proven themselves to you to be of value. That's it. The only people that deserve your loyalty are people who benefit you, who serve your needs, who have your best interests at heart. No one owes Kamala Harris anything who's not in her family, who hasn't benefited directly from what she's done. No one black owes Kamala something because she looked black or because she liked Cardi B or she can make greens, bro. DJ Envy, you are... There's a movie called A Soldier Story. I want you to rent that movie. And I want you to watch it. I just want you to take your time, watch that movie. That type of thinking that you have, I'm probably about 10 years older than you, and your thinking stuck in the past. Don't let old Tim Black have to show how old your thinking is. Black, one way that you can be fooled and manipulated and used is to use somebody to look like you in order to screw you over. The bottom line is this. I'm going to ask the same questions of Elizabeth Warren, the same questions of Cory Booker, the same questions of Bernie Sanders, the same questions of Tulsi Gabbard, the same questions of Amy Klobuchar, the same questions of Joe Biden. Doesn't it hurt you that black people want to ask you about your record as if that is not what we're supposed to do? That's what you're supposed to be doing right now, sir, is asking her about her record and came prepared, at least attempted to come prepared like Charlamagne did, with questions. You came with no questions, but you're talking. You're talking about how you feel, not about anything real. And you're basically giving her a pass. Now, that may not hurt your kids because you have money, but it hurts my kids. And it hurts some of our kids. And all those who are not as well off to be working for revolt. Maybe then you'd be a little bit more concerned. Maybe if you were more in fear of your son being pushed into the criminal justice system because you don't have a good lawyer, if you didn't have a good lawyer, like the rest of us, by hiring the world's top cop or the California's top cop to become the commander-in-chief. And I'm going to end it with this. I never would have voted for Sheriff Clark. Not as dog catcher, You know Sheriff Clark, black guy with the big hat, law enforcement guy, cops do no wrong. That was Kamala Harris. There is very little difference in the way she ran business and the way Sheriff Clark ran his business. I would never vote for Sheriff Clark not to be dog catcher, not to be hall monitor, not to be crossing guard, none of that. Damn sure wouldn't elect him as president. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Tim Black for TBTV. Subscribe to the channel, become a member today. Follow me as Real Tim Black and Tim Black at Night on your social media platforms. Become a member of my WolfPack where you'll get special access to my content and everything we put out. I have a comedy special out called Racist People Suck. I wish you check that out. It's on Amazon. It's streaming there. You can also find it at racistpeoplesuck.com. And yeah, I'm also on Roku if you have Roku. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.